Hey, so if you're an old guy like me and you grew up in the 80s, then you probably remember this commercial.
For about 70 cents, you can buy a can of soda, regular or diet. In Ethiopia, for just 70 cents a day, you can feed a child like Jamal nourishing meals.
And if you were born just a little bit later, maybe grew up in the mid 90s, you probably remember this episode of South Park that was kind of making fun of them a little bit. So these ads weren't just background noise. They were iconic, easy to remember decades later. South Park made fun of them, which meant that they meant something. Folks remembered them. And they were easily embedded into pop culture. These ads were really successful too. The Christian Children's Fund made somewhere between $80 and $100 million in the 80s and 90s, or about $250 million today in 2025. And the secret wasn't simply they asked for money. It was about focused storytelling with a single identifiable person, a real face with a real name. Deborah Small in 2007 quantified this as saying, a story about a single child with a name and a face in need of help has a much bigger and more direct impact on our level of empathy than a story about millions of nameless and faceless people in need. And studies have continued to back this up. In 2014, Paul Slovic did a study that found exactly the same thing. This is from a book called How We Decide, and he's quoted as saying that when people were shown a picture of a single starving child named Rokia in Mali, they acted with impressive generosity. After looking at Rokia's emancipated body and haunting brown eyes, they donated on average $2.50 to save the children. However, when a second group of people were provided with a list of statistics about starvation throughout Africa, more than 3 million people in Malawi are malnourished and more than 11 million people in Ethiopia need immediate food assistance. The average donation was 50% lower. So this is called the identifiable victim effect, and I don't really like that. Instead, what I would tell you to do is to find your champion. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples that nonprofits have done this and done this very, very successful. So first off, I'm going to tell you about Extra Life, which is a fundraiser that goes every year and raises money for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. It all started because a girl died of leukemia. Her name was Victoria Enman, and they built the entire network of fundraising around her. Her picture is, to this day, part of their primary fundraising. And they last year made $7.8 million and have made tens of millions of dollars for Children's Miracle Network hospitals across the United States over the past 10, 15 years. So it works because they have a single person and everything is based around that. But also they really encourage individuals who are fundraising to tell the story of people that have been helped by Children's Miracle Network hospitals in their lives. It's very, very effective. The second example is something you've probably heard of. Her name is Mari Copany, and she was known as Little Miss Flint. So if you've heard about the tragedy in Flint, Michigan, where their pipes were terrible, full of lead, people were getting sick all the time, she was the face of that campaign. She wrote a letter to President Obama and said, my community needs help. And she became the face of this entire campaign. And eventually it has secured $100 million in federal support to fix the pipes. And that actually was completed this summer in 2025. And so what I would recommend is you find one person in your organization, one person that you can help, one person that needs the funds or the support or the infrastructure, whatever your nonprofit can bring to the table, and make that person the face of your campaign. And it could be the face of your campaign forever, or every campaign you have may be a different person. Maybe you do a summer fundraising campaign that targets this person. Your fall fundraising campaign highlights this family. But make sure that it is a single person or a single very small group that you can focus on, that you can use their picture, you can use videos of them, and make them the face of your campaign. And I think you'll find that you'll raise more money that way.